Folks, good evening. My name is Paul McKellips. I'm the Executive Vice President of the Foundation for Biomedical Research here in Washington. And I want to welcome you, the distinguished members of Congress, our recipients, guests, and honored guests and family members for joining us for the second annual Golden Goose Award ceremony. I want to tell you just a little bit about the Golden Goose Awards. It honors federally funded researchers whose works have seemed odd or a little bit obscure, seemingly a waste of taxpayer dollars, and they've turned out to have a significant impact on society, even though they become the fodder of late-night comedians and sometimes political candidates who wonder, what on earth are they doing with fruit flies and worms and zebrafish? But it also honors federally sponsored research that serendipitously has changed the course of our lives, leading to discoveries that have had significant impacts on all of us. The award was created by several higher education, scientific, business, and policy organizations that believe deeply in the promise of scientific research and in the diversity of scientific disciplines and research sectors that are critical underpinnings for our nation's system of innovation. And it's really, really important to all of us. And basic science is one of those things that's difficult to understand, it's difficult to conceive of, and more than that, 15 to 20 years later, billions and billions of dollars of R&D investments, thousands and thousands of people working on it, it might make it to market as a product. And when it does, it's a glorious experience for all of us. All of us have shared an interest in reminding policymakers and the public of the nature of discovery and from the oddest or most unexpected research that can lead to breakthroughs that affect our families, our country, and indeed our planet. Some of the founding organizations of the Golden Goose Award include the American Association for the Advancement of Science, the Association of American Universities, the Association of Public and Land-Grant Universities, the Breakthrough Institute, the Progressive Policy Institute, the Richard Lounsbury Foundation, the Science Coalition, the Task Force on American Innovation, and United for Medical Research. And on behalf of some of these organizations, I want to also thank the other sponsors whose support has made this year's 2013 Golden Goose Awards possible, and that includes the American Astronomical Society, the American Educational Research Association, the American Mathematical Society, the American Psychological Association, American Society for Microbiology, American Sociological Association. You have to have a basic science degree to just even read these. The APS Physics, the Association for Psychological Science, the Association of American Medical Colleges, the Biophysical Society, the Federation of American Societies for Experimental Biology, the Gordon and Betty Moore Foundation, the IEEE USA, and Texas Instruments. That was the easiest of all of them. First and foremost, we're delighted to have some members of Congress here with us tonight who have provided bipartisan support for this award. Our first speaker is Senator Chris Coons. In his first term as United States Senator, Chris Coons has worked hard and earned a reputation as a principled, pragmatic legislator, eager to find bipartisan solutions, which I'm sure we all agree with, on issues not only confronting the great state of Delaware, but the entire nation. Would you please join me in welcoming Senator Coons?
Well, thank you, Paul. Thank you for that kind introduction, and thank you for the opportunity to be with you tonight at the Golden Goose Awards. This is, for me, a great delight and a great honor to meet each of you, the honorees, and to be with all the different organizations that have helped breathe life into this great idea. As you read off the list of sponsors, I thought it's essentially the Association for everything that is interesting, important, brainy, and could lead to a better future. So the sponsors tonight, the Association for Everything Good. As you laid out, Paul, in some detail, what the Golden Goose Awards are essentially about is a reminder that fundamental basic research is important, is difficult, is hard, and it's difficult in particular to predict which piece of basic science research will produce enormous lasting benefits for our society. And so, as we all know, a former member took federally funded basic scientific research and made a habit of sort of making fun of them, of suggesting by the title only that the things that were funded in basic research were clearly wasteful, clearly sort of off the beaten track, obviously not a good use of public money. And into that space, Jim Cooper and many others created the Golden Goose Awards as a way to say, no, actually, it is in the very fundamental essence of invention, of discovery, of innovation, that you often find your most valuable applications and outcomes not where you're looking for them, but somewhere in the general area. And so the things we're recognizing tonight, the discoveries and inventions we're talking about tonight, a theoretical algorithm to connect kidneys with those needing new ones. Research on the Gila monster's venom, I loved this, that helps those with diabetes and turning the survival abilities of organisms in extreme conditions into revolutions in biotech and genomics. These are great examples of how basic research led to remarkable and transformative outcomes. They're a good introduction for our next speaker, who I believe I'm introducing. A congressman who has led a long and productive and successful career in public life, and who has fought for things that are common sense, things that are in the end good, and has stood for things such as this, fights that are worth fighting, even when they didn't initially on the front of them seem to be crowd pleasers. A lot of folks in Congress really only spend their time where they can win votes, where they can raise money, or where they can get on cable TV. And I will say this about Congressman Jim Cooper: he is somebody who, from the time I first met him, back when I was in the private sector, is thoughtful and thorough and disciplined and decent and committed to making our country better. So when he saw that one of the early Golden Fleece Award winners, an MIT project that created a walkthrough of Boulder, Colorado, actually ended up being critical to Google Maps, without which apparently none of us can navigate the modern world. He had this inspiration that we should remind everyone that none of us can easily or safely predict where the next great breakthrough will come from, and without the irreplaceable role of federal funding and of federal sustainment and federal support in basic science and in applied science, we would have had none of the spectacular inventions that make the modern world so promising. With that, ladies and gentlemen, my friend and colleague, Congressman Jim Cooper of Tennessee.
Thank you so much, Senator. I'm honored to serve with you. I'm honored to be introduced by you, and I understand you need to get back to the fray, but I'm grateful for your kind comments, and I'm even more grateful for this marvelous coalition of scientific and educational groups that have come together to honor on this second annual occasion remarkable scientists, remarkable breakthroughs. I am here to celebrate science. I am here to fund science, because that's Congress's responsibility, to fund the public good. Every economist, liberal or conservative, knows that there's certain things the private sector does well, and there's certain things that only the public sector can do. And these are called public goods. It's not a compliment, it's really actually an economic description. And we should be here to celebrate those things that only the government can do. I'm a politician. You can tell by looking at my thick glasses, I'm also a nerd. And that's why Chris said all those nice things about me. So I feel a certain kinship with some of you in the room. But it's very important for the nerd in us to understand how the world really works. And there's no more succinct description than this. Tell me a fact and I'll learn. Tell me the truth and I'll believe. Tell me a story and I will carry it in my heart forever. Most politicians, most parents, most regular folks are storytellers. We live and die by narrative. And that's the purpose of the Golden Goose Awards, to get the story out on great science, to help average people understand and to celebrate along with us these accomplishments, these achievements, these world-changing differences that these individuals and their families have made. We do all this so that the public will be willing to fund these public goods. That's what this is all about. And it's no exaggeration to say that science has rarely ever been challenged in history as it is today. NIH budgets are being slashed, National Science Foundation, you get on the list. Our very university infrastructures, which are the most celebrated universities in the history of the world, are being threatened. So we have to take advantage of our storytelling ability, as well as our scientific expertise, to let the world know what's really going on here. Each one of these stories is remarkable in its own right. I loved reading each one of them, just as I love reading the Science Times on Tuesday of every week. It's the best day of the week because there's a lot of political noise back and forth, but on Tuesday you find out what's happening in the scientific world. There are countless journals that we can rely on and learn from, but we're here tonight to celebrate 3 truly remarkable individuals and their accomplishments. I do want to apologize on behalf of the institution. I often have to apologize on behalf of Congress. We are now less popular cumulatively than North Korea. I think we rank somewhere beside head lice as a public institution. So, due to the long-winded nature of several of my colleagues, a vote that was scheduled for earlier is about to be held shortly, so we're not sure of the congressional timetable. I will stay as long as I possibly can. But it has deprived some of my colleagues of the opportunity to be here, at least on time. I hope they will be able to show up later. So I want to thank the organizers of this, and it is a remarkable thing to bring so many different groups together to celebrate such a worthy cause. So often institutions are out for themselves, trying to get funding for this or that worthy institution or this or that, subject or cause. But to have this amount of unity around something fun and interesting and important like the Golden Goose Awards is truly a heartwarming thing. So tell your story every day, tell your story to everyone, because you can't ever tell. That C student of yours in the classroom may well grow up to be a congressman or a senator, or maybe even president of the United States. You can't ever tell in a democracy. So this is such a worthy cause. Some people have estimated that almost half of the gross domestic product is attributable to breakthrough scientific discoveries. And we need to keep those discoveries coming, and hopefully this award will play a small part in doing that. So thank you for your excellence. I look forward to hearing your stories.
Thank you, Congressman Cooper. The good news is probably that Dennis Rodman could be coming out to help Congress with the reputation. So that might, for those of you who follow basketball, that might mean something. For the rest of you, it's like basic science. And indeed, we do have to tell our stories. Scientists have historically said, let the data speak for itself. Let the science speak for itself. And in these days of challenging times and in economic times when we're trying to figure out who to fund and not to fund, it's really important that the scientists themselves speak up and talk in words that the rest of us can understand and paint pictures that will help us in that process. In a moment, we're going to watch a terrific video that tells these stories about these awardees in their own words, and they discuss the concept of the Golden Goose Award and the value of federal funding for research. But first, I want to thank some of the organizations who have helped make this award possible. That includes the American Chemical Society, Brown University, again, IEEE, USA, Sage Publications, UCLA, and Vanderbilt University.